Joining me right now with their reaction to what we just heard, Republican strategist, author of GOP GPS, Evan Siegfried, Republican strategist, Ashley Hayek, and former chairman of the D.C. Democratic Party, Scott Bolden. All right, they had a lot of stuff on the table. Jobs were a very important part of what we heard there from Labor Secretary Acosta. I'm going to get to that in a second, but I want to start, first of all, with Comey and still the aftershock, if you would, of all of that. Your thoughts, Evan, on where they go from here, given that now we're looking forward to hearing Jeff Sessions.
Well, we're in the middle of the first act of a five-act play. Certainly, Director Comey's credibility is coming into question when he told Attorney General Sessions right after the Oval Office meeting on Valentine's Day that he didn't want any more one-on-one interactions with the president. Yet on March 30th and April 11th, he picks up the phone when the president calls him and has a one-on-one conversation. That doesn't sit well for me.
Oh, all right, it doesn't sit well for you. But, look, James Comey had an opportunity to get out. Scott Bolden, right? He had an opportunity to tell somebody along the way. He did not take that, and instead took what some would say is a rather questionable approach to write everything down and call up your friend and have your friend leak it to the New York Times. Why not just sit down and do an interview with a reporter? The proper way.
Well, he did a lot more than that, quite frankly. And as a former prosecutor, I got to tell you, I listened to his testimony critically in regard to the decision-making that he had to deal with. One, he took those notes like all good lawyers do, whatever the motive was, doesn't really matter. But secondly, he did take it to the leadership of the FBI, not the Attorney General, but a close circle of people, and made the decision that they did not want to harm the ongoing investigation, one. And two, who could he tell? There were temporary they knew that the DOJ AG was going to be recusing himself. They knew that the acting AG was not going to be there. That's plausible, quite frankly. And more importantly, you can disagree with that, but those were the decisions that were made.
Here's Trump's tweet on vindication. Ashley, let me share it with you. He writes, despite so many false statements and lies, total and complete vindication. And wow, Comey is a leaker. Don't laugh, Scott, because you've got Americans watching this president say, look, someone's leaking, and it turns out the director of the FBI is one of them that was leaking. I mean, that tells you how many other people were leaking, and is this just the mode of operation, Ashley, for those in the swamp?
It's absolutely true. He admitted to it. He used his government computer in his government car, and he typed out a memo. He sent it to his friend. I think it was very calculated. He thought he had an ace up his sleeve that he would use to hold over the president. The president wasn't going to put up with this type of relationship with him, and called him out, fired him. And now Comey is going to have to be held accountable for these criminal actions of leaking information that he should have gone to
Actually,
either
they weren't
the
criminal.
Attorney
They're
General
just
or
standard
to counsel.
operating procedure. They were unclassified.
No, it's not standard operating procedure.
Have you ever worked in Washington, D.C.? Everybody leaks about leaking and leaks upon leaks. But I'm telling you, it's not true.
The point is, this is a problem, though. Evan, you can say whatever you want. I don't care if it's legal or it's not legal. It is not the right thing to do. It's simply not. You don't go behind someone's back and leak like they have been leaking. And let me tell you, this is an administration that is suffering from this right across the board. There's a level of viciousness, which Ivanka Trump highlighted. I want to run you the sound on Fox and Friends in an interview this morning, unlike anything perhaps that we've ever seen. Let's roll the tape on Ivanka, please.
It is hard, and there's a level of viciousness that I was not expecting. I was not expecting the intensity of this experience, but this isn't supposed to be easy. I think some of the distractions and some of the ferocity was I was a little blindsided by on a personal level. But for me, I'm trying to keep my head down, not listen to the noise, and just work really hard to make a positive impact in the lives of many people.
Scott Bolden, what I find amazing about this whole entire thing is something that Marco Rubio rightly pointed out in that James Comey hearing. And that's that basically all this stuff kept getting leaked, one thing after another. But you know what was never leaked, Scott? The fact that the President of the United States of America was not under investigation. Doesn't that indicate to you that the media and James Comey and whoever else may have been responsible had a bias and were approaching this from that bias?
You know, all of this is kind of irrelevant, but the fact of the matter is that James Comey did tell lots of people, including congressmen and senators, that the president was not under personal investigation in regard to the collusion. Now, think about what Comey did, though. Comey didn't leak anything or share anything while he was the FBI director. In fact, what he did do, because Donald Trump was attacking him and he thought the narrative was false, that he did give these documents that were his personal views and personal notes, not classified, to a professor to get that out.
Sit down with the reporter and do it the proper way. I mean, come out.
Well,
come
what's
out
the
of the
difference
closet.
between
Share
what he did?
Your thoughts.
Hold on, he
Why
did
do it
under
behind the
oath.
scenes?
He did under oath at a full hearing, if you will.
Yeah, this is
what's
all
the
because he
difference?
wanted
Hold on,
it.
hold on.
It
What's the
himself.
difference?
Scott,
In fact,
you're missing the point. This was a calculated move to have his friend give the memo to the New York Times.
Exactly.
The whole point was to get the hearing. He played 4D chess while everybody else was playing checkers.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that. To me, that is just more evidence of the swamp.